let's talk 2018. The first question I want to ask you, or I want you to look at, is why are you in this business? Why? Why are you in this business? Why real estate? Work, the work that you do, is one of the things that can bring great meaning in your life. So, is that why you're in real estate? Why do you do what you do? Why do you get out of bed every single day? I wonder if you've ever really thought about why you do this, why you really do this. Are you working for selfish purposes, or are you working for unselfish purposes? That's an interesting question, yes or no? I would venture to say most of you are working for what? Selfish purposes. I want to challenge you on that. Question: how does helping people factor into your work equation? How does helping people factor into your work equation? How can you make the world a better place through your real estate efforts? How can you make the world a better place through your real estate efforts? I know you think about that every day. Right? Right? I don't think so. In your business, do you have a results orientation or a process orientation? How many people have a results orientation? Let me repeat the question, maybe say it a little clearer. How many of you have a results orientation? I would say 99% of you, if not more, have a results orientation. It's all about the result. And you need to be honest with yourself. Because here's the funny thing. Do you really understand you have no control over how many homes you sell each year? Do you understand that? Most of you don't understand that. You don't like reading that, do you? You don't control whether people buy or sell. You have no control over anything external to you. So then why are we here? Do you understand you can do everything right, and due to factors not in your control, you can have a poor year as measured by number of sales? Do you understand that? Do you really understand that? More importantly, do you accept that? Now then you got a problem. Because that's reality. You can do everything right. I had a client, this happened this year. This client last year had an amazing year. It was her miracle year. Everything, the ball bounced her way the entire year. This year, the ball went the other way. Last year, she was ecstatic. This year, she was depressed as hell. And I said to her, let me ask you a question. Was your effort any different this year versus last year? She said, no, I gave the same effort because she's a real worker. She puts it on the line all the time. So if the effort was the same or better this year as it was last year, then why were you excited last year and why are you depressed this year? The results aren't, obviously the results aren't in your control. You gave the same effort. I don't think all of you really comprehend this, do you? Because you're all about the result, and don't kid yourself. And here's a great question for you. How do you deal with the reality that a great effort does not guarantee a great result? How do you deal with that reality? What we do know is this: a poor effort doesn't increase your chances of getting a great result, does it? So the question is, are you willing to give a great effort even though there's no guarantee that comes with it? I want all of you to really think and reflect and answer these questions. Why? Why am I in this business? That's where it starts. You've got to really understand why you're here. Is real estate your passion? How many of you is real estate your passion? It's what you love to do. You love thinking about it. You love the architecture. You love the people. You love the problems. You love all the things that come with it. How many of you? Okay, great. Is it your purpose in life? Is this why you're here on planet Earth? To help people who want to buy and sell. Do you feel it is your purpose, your reason for being professionally? How many of you feel that way? Okay. Or are you in it for the money? Is it strictly financial? Is it all about paying the bills? How many of you would vote for that? That's going to be a tough haul, or it's going to be some other reason. Is it your passion? Is it your purpose? Is it for the money? Or do you have another reason for being in this business? All of you need to get clear about why you're in real estate. If all you're doing is going through the motions, I'd go do something else. You have a question? Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I think it's
And there's not a right or wrong, by the way.
right. I was just going to say that, and I think it's a really difficult question because I think everybody feels like the answer is supposed to be, it's my passion, it's my purpose. And, you know, I remember we did a course many years ago where we really drilled into this, like, what is your big why? Is that what it's called? I forget. But we drilled into this idea of, like, what is your big why? And I think that, you know, this is such a consuming business that many of us feel that we need it to officially be our passion, but it's okay if it's not. If you find passion in the things that it does for you, right? So for me, what I'm passionate about is team building, growing my business, and developing other people. And what I'm passionate about in relation to my real estate career has evolved, and there was a very long period of time where it was about being able to
I'm going to
provide-
hold you to this, young lady.
Yeah, it was about being able to
When you
provide-
start whining about something, I'm going to say,
Yeah. But it was about providing.
are we like on the same page here?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, it was about providing for my family at a high level for a long time, and then that's evolved. Once you kind of get to that point where those things are not an issue for you anymore, then you can find other sort of calling within your.
And that's what I'm trying to get people to do, is to really think about why I do this and not just go through the motions, not do it on autopilot. Get some clarity as to why you really do this. And what you think is the answer, then look at it. Is that an answer that's going to help me really enjoy my time on earth?
Right, because I think there maybe are some people who feel like real estate is their passion, but you know, with all the agents I meet very few who are like, authentically saying that is my passion. This is a great career, but you don't have to be passionate about a house in order to be
I want you to be passionate about your life, and I want you to figure out what role does real estate play in that. Again, there's no right or wrong. I'm just challenging all of you to really start to get some clarity. Because I can tell you this, if you're just trying to survive, it's going to be a terrible existence. And it's just going to go on and on and on and on. Be in it for a reason, whatever that reason is. There's no right or wrong. It's individual. So, again, the first thing to think about, why? Why am I in this business? Next, what are my goals? What do I want to accomplish in real estate? Do I have an income goal? Do I have a transaction goal? Do I have a goal in terms of how I run my business, in terms of the infrastructure, the daily operation of the business? Do I have goals around the client experience? Do I have goals around growth and expansion? You just mentioned team building. What are my goals? Again, what I want to get you away from is this survival mindset where we're just going through the motion every single day. We don't even know what we're doing or why we're doing it. We're just chasing. What are your goals? I want you to take time to really think about what are your goals. And again, there's no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong when it comes to your goals. What is it that you want to accomplish? This is what Peter was talking about. What's your strategy? He has a strategy. His strategy is to deal with people that know him. His strategy is to use social media and digital marketing to build his brand awareness. I don't agree with Peter when it comes to door knocking. However, I don't need to agree with him. He's got his strategy. The question is, what is your strategy? And I can tell you there is no right or wrong again. What you've got to find out is what's true for you. The only wrong strategy is no strategy. Or the strategy of let me just throw everything up against the wall and hope and pray something sticks. Sound familiar? Anyone? That's not a strategy. These are the things, when it comes to your strategy, this is what you have to look at. Who's your target market? Who's your target market? Remember, this is a repeat and referral business. That's what real estate is. In its essence, it's a repeat and referral business. So is that your target market, people that you know? Or are you going for people that you don't know, or some hybrid? What is your target market? You need to be clear. Again, no right or wrong. Who is your ideal client? Who is your ideal client? What do they look like? What do they sound like? Where are they? What do they do? What do they act like? Who is your ideal client? I highly doubt most of you could give me a list of who your ideal buyer is, who your ideal seller is. However, knowing who they are, Peter talked about it. That will attract more of those people to you. The more clear you are, the more definite. And then this is a big one. Your value proposition. Why you? This you have to do a lot of work on right now. The industry is under attack. Everybody wants your commission dollars. In 20 plus years of being in this business, I've never seen this much downward pressure on commission, ever. We've always had discount companies, but this new wave of discounters, they're different. They're backed by money and technology. And they are succeeding in getting the message across Why pay more? Why pay more? Remember, most buyers and sellers think they can do your job better than you. They just don't have the time or inclination to do it. However, they think they could. Do all of you, does that resonate with anyone? And with all these discounters coming in, now it gives them even more confidence that they don't need you. They don't need the full-service agent. They can get by with good enough. They don't need the best. And/or they're not willing to pay a full fee because they don't believe they have to. And you're up against this right now. And you're your own worst enemy, because rather than getting clear about your value or doing things to create more value, you take the easy way at what you think is the easy way out, and you do what? You just keep discounting your fee over and over and over and over again. The name of the game, who can go the lowest? Who can go the lowest? It takes no skill to lower your fee. Do you understand that? There's no skill involved. There's no strategy. There's no thought. That's pure desperation. Outside of prospecting, this is, in my opinion, your biggest challenge that you face right now. It's real, it's happening, and you can't ignore it. So, from a sales strategy, who's your target market, who's your ideal client, and what's your value? Why should somebody work with you? And it's important. There's no way a buyer or seller can really understand what you do. There's so much nuance, so much subtlety, so much local information and expertise about the process. There's no way they can really comprehend what you actually do. And you've got to get better and better at defining it, owning it, and being able to articulate and demonstrate your value in a compelling way. You need to be working on this every day, thinking about it every day. Why me? Why me? Why me? Every day you should be consumed. You should be obsessed with becoming better at what you do. Understanding the numbers, understanding the market, understanding the client. This is critical. Lead generation strategy. Is it going to be prospecting? Is it going to be connecting people, property, and possibility? Is it going to be building your brand? Is it going to be a service model? How are you going to generate leads? All of you should have a primary strategy. One of these should stand out. How many people think prospecting is their primary strategy? How many think connecting people, property, and possibility? How many think brand awareness is the way they want to go? And how many people want to use a service model? Be clear on what you're doing and how you're doing it. Next, do you have a service strategy for the clients that you have? Now, I'm not talking about in generating business. Once you have a client, do you have a strategy for providing service? Who's going to do it? What are the responsibilities? What are your standards and systems and checklists? Have you dissected your business? Have you broken down every aspect of your business? Do you have a checklist? First of all, do you have a standard And then do you have a checklist for making that standard become reality for a client? Yes or no? No, you don't. You wing it. You try and keep it up in your head. As you do more and more deals, Stephanie, do checklists become more important or less important? And why do they become more important?
Because, well, first of all, the job really is too big for one person. And if you're going to have many people touching the same project, then everyone has to know what their role is. Everyone has to know what their job is within that project. And additionally, nobody can juggle details on, 10 properties at one time without being able to reference something back. The resistance to using this is enormous, myself included. But it's so important. And I mean, every time these little things get missed, they always come back to haunt you. So why not just work on the checklist?
There you go. Same thing for administrative strategy. There's how you service the client and then how you administrate the transaction. And again, who's doing it? What are the standards? Do you have systems and checklists, and do you follow it? You should be able to break your entire business down into systems and checklists. That's how you start to provide better value. And that's also a way to be able to articulate your value. When you sit in front of a client, you're able to show them, here are all the checklists for how we do every aspect of the business. For example, how many of you have now heard of Purple Bricks? It's a company out of England. They're spending a lot of money on TV advertising, yes? And they're promoting what? We'll list your home for $3,200 and we'll give you everything the full service agent gives you and more for a flat fee of $3,200. All you need to do is type in your zip code and you'll be linked up to an area expert. Funny thing, when you go in and you look at Purple Bricks, they have 5 agents serving Southern California. One agent did 33 deals. The other 4 agents all did less than 5 transactions. They're based out of Irvine. So I live in Brentwood, and my agent, my wonderful Purple Brick agent, where are they coming from? Not coming from Brentwood. Haven't sold anything in Brentwood, but that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. You don't need a local agent with local expertise and a big track record. You just need someone from Purple Bricks. You start looking under the hood, there's not a whole lot there. You need to do your, what'd you say, not yet? The only reason they will start to get quality agents is what? No. If agents are willing to work for less and less and less and less and less, and they're not willing to prospect. What's the value of being a Redfin agent? I get more leads than I know what to do with. And accordingly, I treat my clients that way. So from a strategy, now we have to turn the strategy into a plan. And by plan, what specific actions are you going to take on a daily, weekly, monthly basis? We've got to take the strategy, the how, and turn it into what are we actually going to do each day, each week, each month. This business is not rocket science. It's moving people from contact to contract to closing into repeat and referral clients. That's what real estate is. So what do you need to do each day, each week, each month? You need to know your numbers. Specifically, you need to know your contact to sale ratio. Every single one of you should be on the performance coaching website. You should be tracking your numbers every day. If you're not on the website tracking your numbers every day, then you don't have a business. So if you don't have a business, we don't need to do what? Business planning. If you don't know your contact to sale ratio, then you can't build a business that's more predictable, more dependable, and ultimately more productive and profitable. You need to know your numbers. You go into the website, you go under the tab Performance Plan, you answer questions, and it gives you your numbers. It will tell you precisely what you need to do in terms of how many people you need to talk to, how many appointments you need to go on, how many listings you need to take, and how many homes you need to sell. But we don't want to do that. We would just rather throw a bunch of stuff up against the wall and hope and pray something sticks. Most importantly, when it comes to your plan, you need to understand job one. And job one is connecting with people every day. And you need to connect with a minimum of 25 to 50 plus people every day. I don't care who you connect with, that's up to you. That has to do with your target market, ideal client, value proposition. You need to know you've got one job every day that's more important than anything else, and that's talking to people. And if you're not willing to talk to 25 to 50 plus people a day, you don't have a business. I hate to break the news to you. Minimum requirement, 25 a day, 50, now we're doing something. And your intention every day, again, I want to make this as simple as possible. Your intention every day is to go on a listing appointment. How many of you can honestly say, outside of Stephanie, that your intention every day, I mean your intention every day, is to be on a listing appointment? That's top of mind every day. That's job one every day. How many can actually say that? One person. Then I'd like to know what your intention is if it's not that. All right, say it again. Hold on. Hold on. I like saying contradictory things. I like messing with you. It's part of the strategy. It is. All right, your name.
My name is Barbara McNeil.
Barbara?
Barbara.
Barbara, okay.
So you actually kind of contradict yourself a couple times.
Okay,
And to me, the contradiction is you are asking us what our big why is.
right.
But you're up there also giving us your goals. And
Say it again.
Your goals.
How?
Right. Well, you have to call this many people, you have to do this, you have to do this. Now, I get that.
In order to do a level of business, it depends on what your goal is.
But what is your level? Exactly. So
Well,
for the
you
people,
pick your level,
Right.
okay? I'm saying, ultimately, I believe everyone can sell a home or more every week, okay?
Totally, absolutely.
All right? And if you want to do that, that's what you're looking at as a minimum requirement. When you go into the website and you put your numbers in, it's going to tell you what your number is.
Right.
Might be 5 contacts a day, might be 10,
I
might
understand.
be 50.
But you just said that if you are not going to do this,
If you want to
then-
build a business that's more predictable, more dependable, and ultimately more productive and profitable,
And you also said that there's nothing predictable about this business. So if you think that you can
I said
predict,
more.
okay. So my point.
Well, okay, no,
Okay.
I get what you're saying. This is the thing about real estate. There's no guarantee.
I
All
get
you
it.
can do are do things that give you a higher probability of achieving success.
Right.
What we don't, we can take the stand, say it's all random anyway, so
Right.
who gives a crap?
Right.
And I love to say, look, we're all going to end up in the same place, and no one's going to remember us, so what difference does it make?
Yeah, I get it. I just the one thing that I want to say to the people that are here, because I get what you're saying, and I get having systems and models and doing that, and I know it's really important. And having a predictable model actually will help most people that are trying to have a successful business. But I also think one of the things that's missing in our business, and one of the things that is making agents less successful, is we're letting other people define what success means to us. And so I think that I love the whole beginning of this presentation, because it's saying, define your big why. Define what you want in your business. Define the kind of life you want to live and the kind of business you want to have. Are you service oriented, or are you just trying to hit the money and sell, 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 sell? Because there is such a thing as having a quality of life. And I think that some of us get into such a mindset that we have to compare ourselves to what other people are doing and what they think success is, that we fail to have good lives. And we as real estate agents can push so much that we end up burning out. So it's really important to get clear on all of these things, but also to get clear on what success means to you. And so when somebody up here like Steve, who's amazing and he's a great coach, says, hey, you guys, we have to have 25 or 50 calls a day, and we have to do this and this and this. And by the way, I still want you to have your life in this and this and this. You have to look at how that looks for you, scheduling it, making sure that you have the time to do it, making sure that you're consistent and focused on what you're doing so you have time. Like Stephanie's trying to say, I want to be home by 4 o'clock because my teenagers are going to go to a college, and I want to make sure that I spend time with them. Well, that means her being very intentional about what she's going to do and what success means for her. So to free up time, she's building a team, and she's focused on team building so that she can have that time. But I'm just saying, when you're up there, there are some contradictions.
Well, we may disagree on that. There are some absolutes, all right, in this business. If you want to be successful, again, you decide what success is.
And I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong. I'm just saying for the
I-
people here who might not be as established or might have not gone through some bad times or some things like that, you kind of have to really get
And
true
that's
to
what,
what
and
you
that's
want.
what coaching is all about, looking at the
Absolutely.
individual, and that's why if you talk to 50 of my clients, everyone's doing a different thing.
Right.
No one's doing the same
Right.
thing. I'm not a believer in one size fits all. I am a believer, if you want to sell more homes, you have to talk to more people. That is a fundamental belief.
Absolutely.
And I haven't found anything, any other formula that
Absolutely.
I think is better than that formula.
Absolutely.
If you have it, I'm all ears.
So my thing here just would be to preface it as hey, this is a little bit of a blanket statement, but each one of you needs to, hone in on what you want for your business. And I'm here to help you do that if you'd like to.
All right. And
Something
I'm-
like that.
Agreed.
Okay.
Thank you.
thanks.
So I didn't answer the question yes about do I have an intention to go on a listing appointment every day, because my goal isn't to go on 200 listing appointments. My goal is, so
It's a
how do
different
I get
thing.
past that?
It's a different thing. If you want to succeed at a high level, the name of the game is listing property. That's the name of the game. That's where you get leverage. And so the idea every day is that your intention every day is to go on a listing appointment or set a listing appointment. That's the intention. That doesn't mean you need a goal of 200 listing appointment. It means every day there's a focus in your business.
Okay.
We're not trying to go all over the map. We're trying to, everything we do is towards that, because that's where it starts, with listings.
Okay.
Now, if you want to sell 12 homes a year, 15 homes a year, none of this really applies. This is about if you want to sell a home every single week or more. That's what we're talking about. And you can adjust from there.
So my thought on this intention, and Barbara, I agree with you in many respects, but I also think I'm just going to sit here, I
Lay
all
down on the couch.
I'm good. It's not therapy. I mean, it could be, but so I think that as I go through business planning with my team, and I think as we're all thinking about this, one of the things I've learned for myself, and I'm trying to work with my team on it, is that it takes big goals, big intentions, and big
actions to create any kind of change. So to Jeff's comment about the listing appointment, you know, let's say your listing appointment, let's say you have a 2-to-1 conversion, right? So you want to take 20 listings, therefore you need to have 40 listing appointments. However, if you only think about getting 40 listing appointments 40 days out of the year, you're not going to get those 40 appointments. So the difference is you have to have the mindset of thinking about that every day you have the possibility of doing it. Every day you have to talk to those people, and those actions create major change. But if we're trying to shrink the required action all the time, then you don't make the shift required. I mean, I've never hit my prospecting goal except 1 year out of 15, but my prospecting goal was, sorry, don't tell Steve, but my prospecting goal was big, and it required me to make major changes that required me to change my actions and my belief and my infrastructure, personal, professional, organizational infrastructure. So it's about having a thought process and a goal that changes the way you think and operate. And not everyone has to sell 100 or 200 or 300 or 50 houses. I totally get that. But if you're thinking that I'm only going to sell enough houses, you never really sell enough houses. And my mantra with my team is we want to be selling the number of homes that you can rely on year after year after year. That takes the punishment out of this business. So part of the reason to make a goal bigger, like 50 homes, is you're creating a business that's more dependable, maybe not predictable, but more dependable. You know, if your goal is 50, you could probably pretty consistently sell 30 or 40, and then you'll never have to worry because you're not always running around based on whatever the market conditions are. So my thought about this sort of big goal concept is it's not right for everybody to have to sell 50 homes, but it takes a big goal to create the kind of action required to create the discipline required to have a successful regular business.
Well said.
Thank you.
So again, I think this is critical in this business. If we boil it all down, do you have the intention every day of going on a listing appointment? Is everything you do geared towards that? If you do that, I believe you're going to have a more successful business. Now we come to scheduling. Now the rubber meets the road. And your schedule is your daily business plan in action. That's what your schedule is. We take the why, we take the goals, we take the strategy, we take the plan, and now we turn it into action. You'll see something up here. If you want to succeed, you have to do things in a certain way, meaning you have to take action. And I'm a big fan of time blocking. What does time blocking mean? It means you take your day and you schedule your day based on your priorities. And there's a time to do everything. The first thing you do with your week is you take your week and you take out your days off. That should be the first thing that you time block every week, your days off. And most of you work 7 days a week. You might not work all day 7 days, however, you're working 7 days a week. And you can't do that. You're not built. Nobody can work 7 days a week. Now you're working at some level of burnout. You need at least 1 day, full day off, if not 2 full days off. I've said this for years. The reason why realtors work 7 days a week is because they don't work 5. And the reason they don't work 5 is they're not time blocking. So again, you need to take at least 1 day off a week, if not 2 or more. So you take out your time off. Next, you look at your week and you put in all your personal stuff. Kids, errands, hobbies, exercise, meditation, anything you do personally. That goes into your week. Schedule. And we want to get into a rhythm. We want to get into a routine. Once we take the time off out, once we take the personal stuff out, Now we put in a start time to our workday and an end time to our workday. A start and an end. And that's what we do. And the first thing that goes in is your prospecting. That's the first thing that goes in. And the best time to prospect is when you do it. And the time that's most likely that you're going to do it is early rather than later. As the day goes on, the level of distraction goes up. The most important thing you do every day is talk to people, connect to people. That's what drives real estate. That's the thing that must get done every day. Nothing is more important than doing that. And if you're doing something other than prospecting, then you're choosing to make something less important, more of a priority than something that is most important. This is Real Estate 101. There's no escaping it. I just started the 90-day prospecting challenge 2 weeks ago. How many of you are in it? Every single person in the room should be part of this challenge. This is where you get to the truth. Are you actually going to do the thing that you most need to do in your business? No excuses, no wiggle room. You actually have to do it. It's a challenge to you to see if you're willing to actually do what needs to be done. With a high level of accountability every day. People leaving the room. Someone have a question? No. So time blocking is critical. Questions about time blocking? Say it again. Every workday. I believe we should be doing everything from a 5-day work week. Now, if your goal doesn't require 5 days, then if you're working 4 days a week, then it would be 4 days a week. So I would put in every scheduled workday. Okay, does that answer your question? Right. The general rule is it's off 5 days. If you're going to do it less, then you go to that. It's not 7 days a week. In real estate, nobody's dying and houses don't bleed. That's the reality. We don't act that way. We act as if everyone's dying, the house is bleeding all over the place. I'm not saying you have to do it that way. I'm saying you can do it that way. You can't be in this business coming from a place of scarcity. That's why if you're prospecting every day, if you're priming the pump, thank you, Donald Trump, for inventing that phrase. If you're priming the pump every day, then you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. I'm not focused on what I might miss. I'm focused on my plan and executing my plan. I'm not chasing after maybes. I'm not chasing after suspects. See, all this stuff goes out the window if you don't have the discipline to do it every day. And I'll get into that, okay? Other questions? And she's a buyer's agent.
There's rarely a time where my clients can't meet me Sunday before the open house or Friday at this time or this time. And I'll save like one day a week to do a after work showing because I don't really want to be out showing property at 6 or 7 o'clock at night either. So there's always other times that people can do things and they're buying a house. They should be making time out of their day to make this a priority. And I think when you sit down and you have those conversations, you know, that's part of who my ideal client is. My ideal client is somebody who wants to buy a house and is active in their search as well. So I think it's all about creating those boundaries for yourself. And if you're clear about those, the people it will work out that way.
See, a fundamental question is, are you driving the day or is the day driving you? What I'm talking about is you driving the day. You're being proactive. You're doing the things that will help grow your business. If you're not doing those things, your name again? Emily? If you're not doing those things, then you default into what I call the waiting, hoping, praying, chasing paradigm of real estate. And that's the on-call, that's the 24/7, that's chasing after anything and everything. If you do what I'm asking you to do, that other stuff is not necessary. Not necessary. It's important that you understand the difference between dollar productive activities and non-dollar productive activities. I'm a big believer in real estate. I only do what I get paid for. I don't do things just to do things. What I get paid for is prospecting, conversion, showing, presenting, listing presentations, and contract negotiations. That's what I get paid for. I don't get paid for the other stuff. And so I have to make sure that most of my day is spent doing things that I get paid for. In real estate, you don't get paid for your time. You get paid for what you do with your time. And that's why on the weekly report, there's a column to track dollar productive hours each day, non-dollar productive hours each day. Most people avoid that. You need to measure. You need to actually measure how much time you're actually doing things during the day. You can be busy. I had this conversation with Sonia the other day. She's an expert at being busy. She's a novice at being productive. There's a big difference between worry and work. I can worry 8 hours a day and be exhausted at the end of the day, or I can actually work 8 hours a day and be exhausted at the end of the day. Big difference in what I produce. And then again, time off is a big one. Most of you don't take enough time off. I am a workhorse. I'll put my work ethic up with anyone's, and I have to take 2 days off a week. If I don't take 2 days off a week, I feel it. So I don't know how you do it. Maybe you're a bigger animal than me. I don't know. But I think you have to recharge every day. So when it comes to time, scheduling, time blocking is critical. Understanding dollar productive versus non-dollar productive hours, and taking time off. Any questions around that? The way you do it is to do the things that I'm outlining. You're driving the day versus the day driving you. When you're not prospecting every day and you're not working on your conversion skills every day, and you don't have the intention of being on a listing appointment every day, then you're in that waiting, hoping, praying, chasing paradigm of real estate. If you do certain things in a certain way, you can get out of that trap. I know it may not feel that way because you're not in that paradigm yet. Right, this business, if you don't create, there's no boundaries in real estate. There are no edges. It can be 24/7 every single day. And if you fall into that trap, you get worn out. And when you're worn out, then you're back on your heels and you feel like you have to chase even harder. And the harder you chase, the less you do. And it's just this negative downward spiral. If you get in front of things, you can see things more clearly and you can figure out who's real and who's a suspect. A lot of you, I hear you working with buyers and you're just sending properties all the time to all these buyers. For what reason? For what reason? You're just chasing. You think you're being of service. You're doing all this work. Peter did say something this morning one thing that I agree with. We don't want to do random things. We don't want to do things that are arbitrary. Everything we do, we should do with a purpose. Question? Being of service. It's not. It's just being available. Good point. Here's a great thing that you have to look at. Are you going to be a slave to impulse, comfort, convenience, distraction, bright, shiny objects? That's what most of you are. You're a slave to all these things. Very reactive. Very reactive. Or are you going to develop the mental fitness to do what needs to be done? You want to be a slave to all the stuff that's happening, or do you want to develop the mental discipline to do what needs to be done? Again, are you going to drive your day, or is your day going to drive you? This is what scheduling is all about. Yeah.
Because I repeat this all the time, but I think it's still sometimes how people use it, which is with time blocking, the most critical thing to do is, if you have a meeting on Monday from 12 to 1, you need to put that in your calendar every Monday for the entire year. Because time blocking doesn't work if you don't already have those things blocked out like 30 days from now, then you can block out for the whole year.
You can't, this is a good point. You can't sit there the night before and plan out your next day. Most of your day should be planned out a year in advance. As many of you know, I played professional football. On a professional football team, every single day is choreographed down to the minute for the entire year. Every single day. You know exactly what you're doing Monday at 10 a.m. You know exactly what you're doing Tuesday at 12 noon. You know exactly what you're doing Wednesday at 1:44 p.m. Every single minute is choreographed. That's what you do.
And then when you have people call you and they say, when can you meet? Oh, I can't meet them. I can meet at 2 or 4, but I can't meet at 1. Because you have that thing already blocked out of your schedule. If you don't do that, what happens is someone calls and books, like I'm booking appointments right now for this first and second week of December. And if I didn't have that time blocked out, then I would overlap the things that I need to do with the things that are just popping into my schedule. So I'm fitting everything else around the things that are blocked out already. And that's the way you should treat your prospecting time, all your personal time, and then you'll fit it in. And people are very responsive. I mean, nobody expects everybody to be available 100% of the time.
And this is a really important point. Most of you get into real estate because you want freedom and flexibility, correct? You want to be able to come and go as you please. That is a recipe for disaster. If you want real freedom and flexibility, be 100% scheduled. That creates real freedom and flexibility in your life because that's what creates options. When you're not disciplined in terms of your schedule, there's no freedom and flexibility. Why? Because you're on call 24/7. I don't call that freedom and flexibility. I don't call trying to sneak in half a day off freedom and flexibility.
But I mean, the other
I got it. I got it. There you go. All right, this is what coaching really comes down to, accountability. And you need to think about how you're going to be accountable in terms of your effort. And I measure effort by the number of contacts that you make. That's your effort. I measure skill by your contact to sale ratio. You have to be accountable to your schedule. We just went through that. And you have to be accountable to your money. Each and every one of you should be running a monthly profit and loss statement. You need to understand what you actually net. Most agents don't understand how much money they're making or not making. They don't understand what it costs to run their business. And that's why agents are so quick to discount their commissions. If you understood the difference between 2.5 and 3.5 is really your profit in this business, then you would fight harder to charge 6% and keep 3.5. When you're willing to work for 5 or 4.5 or 4 or 3.5, whatever number you're willing to work for, it's a clear indication you don't understand the financial aspect of this business. So again, you've got to be accountable to your effort. That's why we track our numbers every day. Our skill, that's why we need to know our contact to sale ratio. We've got the time block, so we're accountable. And then we need to do a monthly profit and loss statement, so we're accountable with our money. Any question around that? What gets measured gets done. What gets measured improves. That's why we measure every day. And the reason why you don't want to measure is what? You don't want to see what you're not doing. Somehow, if I don't see it, that makes it better. No, it makes it worse. Because all of these things that I'm talking about, the why, the goals, the strategy, the plan, the schedule, the accountability, all of this stuff compounds every day. And it's either compounding for you or against you. I went through an example yesterday with Stephen Ross on the 8 a.m. call. Stephen has a goal every year to knock on doors 160 days, 3 hours a day. This year he'll knock on doors 160 days, averaging only 2 hours a day, not 3. In essence, what he's really knocking on doors is 107 days, not 160 days. He's 53 days short because he's missing that hour every day. That hour is compounding. That hour, that 1 hour compounds against him over the course of a year to the tune of 5 to 6 deals, to the tune of $80,000 to $90,000. And that 1 hour compounds over 10 years to the tune of 50 to 60 deals, to the tune of $800,000 to $1 million. And then over a 20-year period of time, it really compounds because now we're not getting the repeat and referral business that we might get off of those 50 or 60 clients. Are you following me? Now, on the surface, he can say, hey, I went out and I prospected 160 days. However, if you really go under the hood, it's 107, and compounding is really costing him lots of money.
Is his goal a hour goal, like to prospect for 3 hours, or does he have a daily contact?
It's more of an hour goal. So here's a question, now that we've been through all this. Do you approach your workday free of expectation, fear, and self-importance? Do you approach, most of you have an expectation every day, right? Most of you have fear every day. This goes back to what you were asking. And most of you think you're way more important than you are. It's not about you. It's not about you. I've got news for you. We are here on earth for one reason, to help other people. That's why we're here. If you're here just to help yourself, what does the world need you for? So if you do the things I'm talking about, you can actually approach your workday free of expectation, free of fear, and free of self-importance. You can actually make the world a better place through your efforts. That's what you can actually do. This is a big one. Imagine how empowering it would be if you could actually let go of being worried about what other people think. Imagine what your life would be like if you didn't worry about what other people think. Imagine what your life would be like. I challenge each and every one of you to sit with this question and think about how it would actually change your life immediately. I think most of us don't even realize how much an influence what other people think is on what we do each and every day. Question: are you doing your job in a principled way with diligence, energy, and patience? Are you doing your job every day in a diligent way with principle, energy, and patience? As you get ready for 2018, how could you incorporate this thought into your business plan? Barbara's favorite. Are you talking to 25 to 50 plus people every day? And what Stephanie said, having that goal stretches you. It stretches you. It makes you a better professional. And as you were talking about that, and I shared this with the group, your group yesterday, I played for Don Shula. He is the winningest coach in NFL history. He's won more games as a head coach than anyone else ever, by a lot, by a lot. And one of the things that I appreciated most about him is he had a goal 365 days a year. That is to win the Super Bowl. That was his goal 365 days a year, and he coached for over 35 years. He never once wavered from that goal. That is a big goal. That was the goal every day. As a Miami Dolphin, you knew that's why you were there every day. That goal was palpable. It was tangible. It was real. It was in your face every day. And what's interesting, he coached over 35 years. He went to 5 or 6 Super Bowls, and he only won 2. He only won 2. What a failure, right? 2 times in 35 plus years, he hit the goal. What a failure. Yes or no? Well, if you call winning more games than anyone else by a long shot a failure, that's up to you. Having that goal every day drove him to a high level of success. And that's what the 25 to 50 contacts. It pushes you every day to be a better professional. And again, we're making these contacts with the intention of being of service, helping the ones who will. Which leads me to the next one. Do you focus on the ones who will, or do you wait, hope, pray, and chase after the ones who won't? All of you have to get clarity around this. Too many of you are putting too much effort, energy, attention, focus into people who are not going to do anything. And I love this. At the end of every day, do you feel acceptance, no matter what happens, and for what you did that day. At the end of every day, are you at peace with what you did that day and you're ready to go out and do it again the next day? That's what we're shooting for. When we get to the end of the day, hey, we did what we were supposed to do. We did that. So now I want to talk about mindset. This is going to be a big theme for next year. And I want to read this from The Science of Getting Rich. I mean, you cannot, I've probably read this book 100 times, if not more. You can't read it too much. And I did this on the 8 o'clock call again yesterday. Nobody leave. I want you to listen to this. I have said that an individual gets rich by doing things in a certain way. In order to do so, a person must become able to think in a certain way. So in order to do things, to be successful, you have to do things in a certain way. In order to do things in a certain way, you have to think in a certain way. Are you following this? A person's way of doing things is the direct result of the way he or she thinks about things. Thinking comes first, action follows thinking. To do things in a way you want to do them, you will have to acquire the ability to think the way you want to think. To do things in a way you want to do them, you will have to acquire the ability to think in the way you want to think. This is the first step toward getting rich. To think what you want to think is to think truth, regardless of appearances. Thinking truth means thinking in a way that you fulfill your potential. Each and every one of you. How many of you think about things that you want, things that you desire? Anyone? We don't desire anything we are not capable of producing. We don't think about things that we're not capable of doing. So if you think it, like Napoleon Hill said, what you can conceive and believe, you can achieve. How many have heard that before? Every person has the natural and inherent power to think what he wants to think. But it requires far more effort to do so than it does to think the thoughts which are suggested by appearances. It takes a lot more effort and energy to think what you want to think versus thinking about the things that are suggested by appearances. Are you following me? It takes a lot more energy to think 50 contacts, 25 deals, 250,000 versus where you are right now. What's real in your life right now? This is the way you want to think, right? 50 contacts, contact to sale ratio, 100 to 150, 25 deals, 250,000. That's the way you want to think, right? That takes a lot more energy than thinking about where you are now. Not exactly at 50, contact to sale ratio 500, sales at 16, and income not 250. Everyone follow me? To think according to appearances is easy. To think truth, again, what you really want, to think truth regardless of appearances, is laborious and requires the expenditure of more power than any other work a person has to perform. This is mind-shattering. You think making 50 contacts a day is challenging, right, Alexis? physically. Thinking 50 contacts a day mentally is even more taxing than actually doing it. I hope all of you get that. And that's why we don't actually do the things that we want to do, because thinking about it is harder than even doing it. Screw that. Let me just wait, hope, pray, and chase. Love it. There is no labor from which most people shrink as they do from that of sustained and consecutive thought. It is the hardest work in the world. And I watch this happen every year. We're going to set goals in December for 2018. Yes, right? By January 31st, 95% of you will have disconnected from that goal in 1 month. In 1 month. To be able to think your goal every day, 365 days a year, to stay focused on that truth every day is the hardest work in the world. Are you following this? Most of you don't think about how hard it is to do this. And that's why most of you aren't doing it. Every appearance in the visible world tends to produce a corresponding form in the mind which observes it. This can only be prevented by holding the thought of the truth. So the only thing that's going to keep you from reverting back to thinking according to appearances is holding the truth in front of you 365 days a year. Now, you consider yourself a pretty motivated person, yes or no? You consider yourself a hard worker, yes or no? You try and give a great effort every day. And how connected were you to your goal this year? Of the 365 days, how many days was that goal front and center? Maybe 50%. Think about the effort that it would require in order to make it 365 days.
We have full mental awareness every single morning.
And this is
Throughout the day.
the agents who succeed at the highest level. They've got that goal right in front of them every day. They don't disconnect. They don't disconnect. And remember, the moment you disconnect, you automatically default back into the waiting, hoping, praying, chasing paradigm of real estate. Now you're in survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, it's going to be plus or minus 10% of what you do. Every person has the natural and inherent power to think what he or she wants to think. Do all of you really understand? You have the power to think what you want to think. In Stoicism, they call it the discipline of perception. You have the ability to see the world in any way you want. The world is as you choose to see it. You get to choose. And you cannot escape the consequences of your choices. So you can choose to see the world exactly the way you want, or you can choose to see something different. To achieve success, you must do things in a certain way. To do things in a certain way, you must think in a certain way. Thinking comes first, doing follows thinking. Everything is created twice. It's first created in the mental realm and then created in the physical realm. You've got to hold it mentally first to bring it into the physical realm. Thinking in a certain way, what that means, the certain way is thinking according to what is true in terms of what you really want versus thinking according to to appearances. Would most of you agree that thinking according to appearances is a bigger force in your life than thinking truth? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? This is what has to shift in 2018. Thinking according to appearances is easy. To think truth regardless of appearances is laborious and requires the expenditure of more power than any other work a person has to perform. This is really job one. Thinking according to the truth. This is the most important thing you have to do every day. Every day. And it's the thing most of you are not doing on any day. Again, there is no labor from which most people shrink as they do from sustained and consecutive thought. It is the hardest work in the world. That's why you're not doing it. And this is especially true when truth is contrary to appearances, which it is for everyone all the time. Thinking in a certain way means having a vision, being clear and definite, knowing your purpose, having unwavering and invincible faith that it is yours already, and being grateful for the journey. I love this quote. I love this quote. I want nothing. I have everything. This guy, when he wants something, he takes ownership of it mentally. It is his. He no longer wants it. Why? He has it. And then he simply has to do what? The work. He's not striving to get it. He's not working to get it. He's not worried whether it's going to happen. It is his already. Now he just does the work. Imagine, on January 1st, you take your goal and it is now what? It is now you. It's done. And then you spend the next 12 months doing what? The work. Not the worry, the work. Not the distraction, the work. You do the work. Now tell me that's not a big leap from where you are right now. Yes or no? That is a big leap for most of you. Acting in a certain way, it is not your job, or it is not your part to guide or supervise the creative process. All you have to do is retain your vision, stick to your purpose, and maintain your faith and gratitude. What that means is you don't have to worry, is it going to happen or not? Most of you are control freaks, yes or no? You're basically out there telling God or the universe, whatever you believe in, hey, today let me give you my marching orders. I need you to do this, this, and this. You got it? Doesn't work that way. By thought, the thing you want is brought to you. By action, you receive it. Acting in a certain way means you put your whole mind into present action. You take your schedule and you work your schedule. Being in the moment. Doing what's in the schedule at that time. We all have this bad habit of focusing on what's next versus what's in front of us. When we're out knocking on doors, we're thinking about the email that we have to return. When we're on a listing presentation, we're thinking about getting home. When we're doing emails, we're thinking about a phone call that we need to make. When we're working out, we're worrying about work. When we're working, we're worrying about not taking enough time off. We're never where we are. This is why meditation is so important. Meditation teaches you to be in the moment. To be fully in the moment. To experience the moment. That's a skill that you need to develop. You cannot act where you are not. If you're here and your mind is somewhere else, you're no good. And that's what happens to most of us during the day. The only thing, this is so critical, the only thing you control in life, your thoughts, your beliefs, your intentions, your words, your actions. Only things that go on inside. You have no control over anything that happens outside of you. And the more you understand this, the more you can focus on this side of the equation. Only focus on what you can control. To boil it all down, doing things in a certain way means doing what is right. And all of you know instinctively, intuitively, what is right. No one has to teach you that. You know what is right. Do what is right. And when you do what is right, the rest doesn't matter. Doing what is right is enough. You don't have to do anything more. That is acting in a certain way. Be present, do what needs doing, do what is required, make each act a success, no rushing, no hurry. Be present. That is acting in a certain way. Any questions around that? Final thought for the day. Let go of the past, trust the future. Remember, what is fear? Fear is your mistrust of the future, Dan Lackey. That's what fear is, when we don't trust what's happening next. If we can turn that mistrust into trust, let go of the past, and be focused in the present moment, then we can live to our fullest potential. This isn't going to happen by itself. This isn't going to happen by accident. This will only happen on purpose. And you've got to drive the process. I could just talk about this stuff all day long. I encourage you, read The Science of Getting Rich. Go over what I just went over. Read it over and over and over and over again. Any questions about this? All right, anyone who wants to get serious about 2018, different coaching programs. We have this every month, one-on-one coaching, Skype group coaching. Liz Johnson's going to run the listing presentation training camps next year. I do the 8 a.m. accountability call every morning. We're doing the 90-day prospecting challenge through the end of January. If you're not involved, I would get involved today. It's $1,000. We're on the phone Monday through Thursday or on Skype, Monday through Thursday, 30 minutes. You have a daily contact goal. You have a goal each week. You have a goal for the 90-day program. No excuses, no hiding out, being accountable, role-playing every day, working through your dialogues. It is really squirm time. I am putting your feet to the fire. Again, as I said earlier, it's a real test. Am I going to do the things that I need to do? No BS. No BS. So,
On that note, I was going to say earlier, I think what's so great about making a business plan, and especially in real estate, since we don't get paid until we sell a house, we all want our plan to be just focused on selling that house. And if you did earn a salary and your job was to knock on doors or make a video or prospect in some way every single day, you would do it. And so you have to shift your mindset away from making the prize the sale and making the prize
the action.
the, yeah,
That's what it is. You have to take whatever you want and break it down in action, and that's what you focus on, doing the actions. And that's why this is so important, because if you want to have the greatest chance of success, you've got to talk to people every day. And it has to become a habit, a routine, a rhythm. It can't be something that's shifting all the time. And left to your own devices, you're going to screw it all up. If you're serious, you invest. Here's your holiday gift to yourself. Be accountable. And then for those of you who want to go to a different level, the next Sacred Journey retreat will be Super Bowl weekend again next year. Location to be determined. And 4 days, 4 nights, and this is where we really go into what are you doing with your life? What are you doing with your life and why? It's not about real estate, it's about you. Looking at the question, what does life want from you versus what do you want from life? So if anyone's interested in that. Questions? Everyone's got it? I'll be up here if you have any questions about coaching. Come see me. Everyone have an incredible Thanksgiving, and we'll be back in December. Thank you.